Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Graphic Medicine podcast. This is a new segment that we are starting called the Monthly Roundup. I'm sure you've all been watching and listening to the podcast over the past few years. This year, we're trying to do a couple of new things in addition to the existing podcast episodes that are coming out, which is to have some more regular episodes that are a little bit shorter and about more kind of just things that are going on monthly in the world of graphic medicine. So this is our inaugural episode. So woohoo! We also have some other, programming things that we're hoping to introduce in the months ahead. But this is our first step into kind of adding to our podcast library of content. So thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Thomas. I'm a board member on the Graphic Medicine International Collective. I'm a physician. I'm also a cartoonist. I work with a company with a friend of mine called Booster Shot Media, where we make educational comics and videos. And I created a comic called Iggy the Inhalers that is probably the most well-known thing that I've done in the past few years. And joined with us is, of course, our podcast guru, MK, who is going to be co-hosting all of this with me. MK, take it away.
I'm very excited to be doing this together, Alex. It's been lonely all these years. It's just wonderful to have you on board and to do this together. So, as most of you may know, I'm MK Serwick, a nurse, artist, teacher, and podcast enthusiast. I am emeritus from the board of the Graphic Medicine International Collective, and I'm very excited about our new direction with the podcast.
So, segment one is graphic medicine news. So
Beep,
take it away,
beep,
MK.
beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, we'll add music later, maybe. We'll see.
So I'm going to start with news from the website. So first of all, I want to make sure that people know that you can subscribe to updates from the website. And on the video feed here, if you're watching it, I'm showing where on the site you can do that. It's right here on all the pages. It's off to the right. Oh, sorry, no, that's the search. Underneath that is enter your email address and sign up. And what you'll get is that you will get a single email a week from us, which is just an update of what's been going on, what we've sort of been kind of seeing happening out on the socials and in the world, and what people email us, and we try to share on the website. So it's a great place to just keep up with, people email, when am I going to find out when the award is open? When am I going to find out when the conference is? That's how you do it, by signing up to our newsletter. So that's our first item of news from the website. Secondly, I wanted to share that our unbelievable reviews editor, Kevin Wolf, has launched another one of what I'm calling his omnibus reviews. And that is, I'm sorry, I'm pulling up the page here, bear with. Here it is. It's guns in the United States. And so what he does with these omnibus reviews is he takes a number of books that look at a single topic and he kind of reviews them together. And Kevin's career in the real world was as a health, oh my gosh, the word is gone from my head. This is my age.
Actuarial?
Actuarial. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See, this is why it's great to have you.
Co-host.
Right. Co-host. He does all this great stuff with statistics at the end, and he always like fact checks. And you can see I'm scrolling through this post, but it's on the website. He just does amazing stuff with these omnibus reviews, and we are so excited to have Kevin doing this work for us. So that's other piece of news. And the last piece of news I want to share is that our Drawing Together gatherings are on summer hiatus, but we've just posted a video discussion with the editors of this book, Drawing in Health and Well-Being, Philippa Leone and Curie Scott, to discuss this book. And it's a really wonderful project that brings together people who are doing projects with drawing that are about creating health, addressing issues of health and well-being. And we were very excited to write a chapter about the Drawing Together gatherings as a place for collective care and the way in which the people who have been there throughout COVID and since have shown care for one another through drawing. And that's it for the graphic medicine news from the website.
And you have a podcast episode about that on that's live now, right?
Yes, I just posted the video discussion, and that'll be in this week's newsletter. And then I will also post the audio of that discussion.
Great. So I'm going to use this time of the segment to talk about news from the GMIC board. As you guys may know, the board meets constantly, and we have subcommittees that are always working on things behind the scenes. There's a lot of things that are in early stages that we can't yet talk about publicly, but just know that we're working on a lot of exciting things. The first thing I can tell you is that the 2026 Graphic Medicine Conference is occurring and it's going to be in person. Stay tuned. And the next thing that I want to talk about was that GMIC was at TCAF. And is that sharing? Can you see that what I'm seeing? Okay, good.
Yes.
So our board members, Ebru Ustendag, Shelley Wall, and Matthew No, all were at the TCAF Toronto Comics Arts Festival. I think it's been 2 weeks now. And it was great. It was the first time we were there kind of officially as graphic medicine. So they had a table, they had hosted panels, they had signings at the table as well. We spread a lot of kind of materials about graphic medicine just to spread the word to other comics enthusiasts who may not be familiar with the field and our organization. So it was a great experience from what we heard. And they also hosted an in-person drawing together at TCAF, which was really awesome. So if you go to our website, you can see a post about it here. There's kind of some great photos of some of these sessions. So that was drawing together, which looks amazingly well attended. They had a gigantic graphic medicine banner, which I'm very proud of. And it was a great conference. I mean, it was a huge turnout. So we hope to do that more in the future. And yeah, it was great. Let me stop this screen share.
Cool. And the last piece of news in the news is that I want to just give an update from the Graphic Medicine International Collective Awards, which is that we had a group of volunteer readers who are very familiar with graphic medicine created a shortlist from all of the submitted works. And that shortlist then in April was handed on to a new panel of judges. Again, we try to, with all of those groups of people, they're not necessarily just us. They're people who are very familiar with graphic medicine, but also we really like to mix it up and also make sure we have a good variety of people from different positions from which they approach graphic medicine, whether they be cartoonists or people who have created a graphic memoir about their health, graphic journalists, librarians. Like we really like to really bring like a lot of people to the table to do this important and a lot of work to read all these, especially for the shortlisters. But the judges have been working on choosing the winners in each of the three categories, which is long form, short form, and educational. And educational is a new category this year we're very excited about. And the winners will be announced at the Graphic Medicine Online Summit, July 19th, online, as I said, at 9 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to watch the site for details. And that is a perfect segue to our next segment with our special guest, Tom Hart.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Tom. So, as part of the monthly roundup, we like to invite guests to kind of talk about things that are relevant this month, and we have a lot from Tom that he can share with us. So, Tom, thanks for joining us. If you don't mind, can you please introduce yourself to us?
Sure. My name's Tom Hart. I've been a cartoonist all my life, but maybe professionally for since about 90 in the mid 90s. So I'm losing track of the years right now. Maybe that's 30 years or something. And I run a school called the Sequential Artist Workshop, and that's been up and running about 12 or 13 years. I've made graphic novels and comic strips and short books and all sorts of things, and been nominated for lots of awards, but never won any. Always a bridesmaid. And now I just help people win those awards now.
So, yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about SAW and kind of what you guys do as an organization?
Sure. It was I like to say it was I wanted to create the kind of school I never went to, the kind of school that I wanted to go to. And so that would be a place that was like full of students and teachers really excited about art, but also not paying through the nose to be there. And it was started as an in-person school in 2012, and was a very small but pretty vibrant, I think, school in Central Florida. With the pandemic, it kicked a lot of our offerings online, and now we're very, very um, wide-ranging online organization with a lot of programs, including a program that mimics an entire art school in 1 year from September to May, and then another one that gets people to make significant progress on their graphic novels in 6 months. And then we have a lot of shorter 1 month classes and things like that. So it's a pretty vibrant online community too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have been blown away with how vibrant the community is. It's really kind of it's such a fertile ground for kind of sharing ideas and support, I think, amongst creators. And yeah, it's amazing that it didn't start online completely, because it seems like made for that, that forum. So it's been great. And I think from a graphic medicine perspective, we've also just been amazed with the way graphic medicine has also kind of been touched upon and taught and discussed amongst SAW participants and teachers as well. And that kind of brings us to this amazing collaboration that we're happy to be doing coming up. So let's talk a little bit about the Graphic Medicine Summit, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, somewhere a few months ago, I learned that you all weren't putting on a conference this summer, and I thought, well, that's a disappointment. We have to make something happen, and that's one thing we've always done at SAW is always tried to um, just make places even online where people can get together and share ideas and share comics and just sort of collaborate. And so with that sort of vacancy there, I proposed to y'all to just do something online, small, something that we could handle from SAW's end, and to see if people wanted to gather. And yeah, so far it's looking like we've got a good roster of things happening. It's July 18th, 19th, and 20th. So it'll start on Friday evening and end sometime late Sunday, late afternoon. And we've got 3 workshops, three comics readings of about 5 or 6 readers each, and 4 presentations of about 4 or 5 yeah, 4 or 5 presenters each, of all for different topics. So it's going to be quite a couple dozen readers and participants, and hopefully lots and lots of audience members. And we're leaving a lot of space for informal conversation too, both at the beginning and the end of the summit. Yeah, I'm really just excited to just see what happens. I mean, you guys probably all know graphic medicine is just everybody's interested, you know, and we want to support that and allow just create a space where people can get together and talk about it. So some of that will be, again, some of that will be structured and formal, and some will be informal. We'll just let people sort of talk amongst themselves live.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the best collaborations, I've had, creatively came from just meeting people at graphic medicine conferences. So I think having
Yeah.
that kind of ability for people to, and hopefully this will also bring people who may not have otherwise interacted with each other together. I think with this, being a joint kind of SAW graphic medicine event, I think it's really a great chance for different groups to interact and meet with each other and maybe hopefully collaborate in the future. Now, is there a deadline for signing up?
Uh, Signing up to attend, there's probably no deadline. The way our software works is it does tend to make things unavailable the moment something is started. So if you're
Sure.
trying to get into like the 11 a.m. Saturday workshop or whatever is happening, our software may be really annoyed at you if you try at 11:01. But
Yeah.
but if you're in touch with us ahead of time, we can try and get you those links. But otherwise, for attendees, there's no deadline. And we did close the doors on submissions for readings and proposals. We've got that full, and it's a good roster. And some of that's going live. Uh, some of that's live now, and some of that'll be live in the next couple of days of what that roster is. There's some great, exciting things I've never seen before. I'm so excited to see some of the submissions. Great stuff.
This is
It's
really
fantastic.
exciting. Yeah. And if someone registers for the event, they get one link and that's for all of the registration, or they have to register for the individual things that are happening?
Yeah, again, this is software logistics that we're not always on top of, but I think you have to register for every event. But we're going to try in the next couple of days to have at least one email account that can send out every single link as they go to people. But so it'll be like if you want to sign up for all of them and get the emails, click this link, and hopefully we'll get that automated in a day or two. But
Fantastic.
right now, as far as the software backend stuff, you have to sign up for everyone separately.
Great, great. And I just mentioned in the segment prior to this that we are going to be giving the Graphic Medicine Award as part of SAW and part of the event, which is what we had hoped to do an event. So this was just a really great marriage. Just
Great.
for fun, this is last year's
Oh, look at that.
physical statue.
Mhm.
So this was 3D printed and 3D etched in Athlone, Ireland, by the team who did the conference there. And this year's will be different, probably a very different color scheme. But the idea is to still use the same sort of shape and size because the files of the 3D printer were sent over to the new production area. So we're really excited to be able to share what that will, at least in concept, look like.
Oh, that's fabulous. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
fun. They're fun. We're really excited about it. I'm really excited too. And I know Alex has been a real driver of this, and I think absolutely right was that we've created a new category this year because we realized a lot of the educational graphic medicine was kind of getting lost in the shuffle with these like amazing graphic memoirs and moving stories. And so we separated that out. So now we have three categories: long form, short form, and educational. And we'll
Oh,
have winners in each of those categories. So yeah. So I wanted to segue to the exciting news that I got that Street Noise is going to be reissuing a paperback of your book, Rosalie Lightning. That's really exciting. I have the original hardcover edition. I teach a course called Death Panels, where a
oh,
colleague and I look at end of life issues through comics. And believe it or not, it's a full, robust 10-week course. And we use your book in that course. And I know that's just one example of the ways that this book has been working in the world since it was released. So can you tell us, and I also want to make a note that I also was told that there's a new author note from you and a new forward from Lucy Nisley, which is really exciting. I think it's really interesting to take a book that's, when you publish it, you just hope for the best, but then to look at it now, how many years has it been since it was originally published?
almost 10.
Yeah, so like you look 10 years, like what's it been doing in the world? That's really amazing. So talk about how this came to be and talk about your thoughts on this.
Oh, well, thanks so much. And thanks for reading it and thanks for sharing it with your students. Well, the funny thing is another professor who I know contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm having a hard time getting a hold of your book." And then I contacted the publisher and they said, and it's like, my friend would like some copies of the book. How can they do that? And after a week or so, the email that came back is said, "Oh, there aren't any more copies yet, and we're not planning on reprinting." I was like, "Oh no!"
Hey.
So so uh, me and my agent, we contacted Liz. She was the first person at Street Noise, and I just said, "Well, I'd love Liz to." I just think Street Noise has such um, a great catalog of terrific books. And I think Graphic Monday is great also, and I think those are my two favorites of people making things. I think it was Liz and Street Noise's sort of political bent that I really liked too. Their advocacy work in other fields. So we just contacted Liz, and Liz was interested in republishing and getting another cover and all those things and a new forward and a new introduction, things I would not have initiated on my own. I was like, okay, what do you need? But it was nice to reflect on it after it has been a while. And Lucy's intro is extremely generous, and it's really nice to hear from so many people who the book has meant something to. Um, so yeah, it's coming out in, oh yeah, there it is. It's coming out in, I think it has now been pushed back because of shipping delays to August 2025. That's this year. Um, but I'm going back to Gainesville. I run SAW. SAW is headquartered in Gainesville, Florida, but I'm up north now. But I go back every July. So I'm going to go back in July, and that's where a lot of my archives are and things. So I'm going to rifle through a lot of those original pages and the original binders and things, and make a bunch of little videos and things,
That's great.
and sort of reflect on the process. And in fact, I was just emailing a student today who was asking me about something about the ending, and I realized I didn't exactly remember, but luckily I document a lot. So I was like, oh, this is what I was thinking in that ending, or this is why it happened that way. So I'm going to plan on doing a little bit more of that to get the word out. And honestly, this book it's been really hard for me to engage with in a promotional way for a very long time, and it's only past couple of months, and with a lot of Liz's encouragement, that I've been like, okay, I can treat it like a book and not just this artifact of loss, which is what it was.
Mhm.
I didn't like talking about it as a book. I liked talking about the process of making it, I suppose. And and I never even would even say the title of the book for the longest time because it's my daughter's name.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And but it's been a while and I'm opening up a little bit, and so we're gonna share some of that stuff in hopes that people can see the new edition because yeah, people have always really responded to it really nicely and with a lot of gratitude, and I appreciate that.
Good. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an amazing work, and I think it's just yeah, it must be kind of an odd thing to have something that's so that connects with so many people, but then for you personally, it's like you may not be at a point where you're personally wanting to engage at that time that the reader is. And so yeah, I just can't even. That's a lot to be kind of navigating, especially with a book that's kind of that celebrated.
Yeah. Well, like, going on a little bit of a book tour when it came out, the odd convention or book signing or something, it was a lot of silence and just a lot of real simple thank yous. People come up and they would tell me a big story, and I'd say, I really appreciate you telling me that, and thanks. And I didn't have much more to say aside from that, but I tried to be very, very honest in those moments and just
Yeah.
appreciative. But I wasn't very talkative. But I would also make a special drawing for everybody with a little zipatone and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was hard to talk about a little bit for a while, but I think when people would come up with similar stories, that we sort of understood how to speak to each other.
The other odd thing that happens is that these are real people in your world that become characters to other people, right? At least, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm projecting my own experience with taking turns. It's like,
Mm.
that's been the oddest thing is that people talk about people that like, especially the other people who worked on the AIDS unit that like they're characters. And you're just like, that's so bizarre because that's my friend. And it's a very bizarre thing. And I'm sure a lot of people do memoir experience that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's definitely something when we teach memoir. I saw it's one of the early things, and I think it's in my graphic memoir book, the book that I wrote called The Art of the Graphic Memoir, which I sometimes forget I wrote, but it's a good one.
I've got it. Yeah, it's up there.
And and I'm pretty sure I talk about that, like that insistence that you have to create a version of yourself that's a character, and you have to walk that character through the story. And
Mhm.
and our instructor Beth Tremblay talks about like not only a character, but she talks about all these iterations of you, these
Yeah.
versions of you that will wind up being in your book. And in her case, I think she tracked like 17 different versions of her because they were all looking at a different version of her,
Yes. Yeah.
stuff like that. It's very complicated, but you have to have some sort of distance to,
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
do that.
Right.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, we're really happy that Street Noise is reissuing this. Obviously, it's a book that people still want to be having access to and reading. So it's great.
Yeah.
And we look forward to it later this year. Um, so now for our next segment on our inaugural episode, we wanted to talk with each of our guests on what you're currently working on. So Tom, what are you working on?
Oh, um, well, everything I'm working on these days is a collaboration. I realized it a
Mhm.
handful of weeks ago. Um, I'm just very, very active creatively now, but every single thing's a collaboration. I'm doing two podcasts, and both are basically in conversations with another person. One is about comics, and the other is about just sort of guys in general, trying to sort of like see what that whole experience of being a man is. And so me and another guy who we don't know each other well was actually just a chance to like get to know each other sort of on live on camera, although it's only audio. But and then I'm making a music album with a friend of mine who's also a graphic medicine person in Australia. We're just like trading files back and forth over the internet. And comics wise, well, I'm running Saw, which is a big collaboration. And with and comics wise, the thing that I'm most engaged with right now is I've been working with Jess Rulifson, who I did a podcast with, and we're trading pages back and forth. I did 2.5 pages and I sent it to her and I said, you do 2.5 pages. And she sent it back and I sent it back. And it's just a little bit goofy, but also it actually starts off with pretty serious stuff like why is the world in such disarray and why do I feel so bad? But it's allowed us a little bit of levity and a little bit of exploration as well. But she got really busy with a freelance job, and so I had to do about 24 or 28 pages on my own. And so, but I used it as a chance to really lament the loss of Jess's presence in the comic, and I just like get lonelier and angrier and lonelier. It's been a really fun project. And so, yeah, I realized everything I'm doing is collaborative these days. And I think it's in response to just how troubled the world is. I don't think it's merely a stage I'm going through, or how old I am now, although maybe both of
Yeah.
us are part of it. But I think reaching out and connecting with people and not staying isolated has been the main thing that I've been trying to do.
I think that's
So,
genius. Yeah.
and Tom, what are the names of the podcast so our viewers can tune in?
Sure. Well, let's see. Well, the one that I did with Jess Rellefson that we're hoping to get up and running again, that was called The Terrible Anvil. That's sort of on hiatus.
Mhm.
The one I do with Lauren Weinstein, the cartoonist, we interview a different person at SAW, a different student who has a question, and Lauren and I try and sort of engage with that question. That's called Comics Karma, although you'll probably find it on the Terrible Anvil feed. And the one with my friend Tim is called Men and Explanation, and that's so hopefully you can find that on your podcast feed. And the book with Jess, we don't know what that's going to be called yet. And the album, I'm not sure what that is yet either.
That's fantastic. And we'll
That's
put
great.
links in the show notes. Yeah,
Sure, I
yeah.
can
That's
send those
really
along.
great. It's so interesting you were saying about collaboration because I just have realized the same thing myself. Like, I want to do something, I want to find someone equally passionate and let's do it together. Like, even this podcast, right? Like, it's going to happen. Like, I've been trying to learn guitar at 58 years old for the first time, and I wasn't rehearsing, even though I love doing it and I love playing, but I wasn't rehearsing enough. And then I realized, it's the same thing like going to the gym. If I didn't have people waiting for me at a class 4 times a week, I wouldn't go to the gym. I'd wish I would have. So I realized I needed to get a friend to come over and we would play together. And so, like, yeah, like there's something about, and especially right now, like you say, the community and being connected to other people on a deep level is so important. Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
So, MK, what else are you working on?
Yeah, so in addition to trying to figure out how to play guitar as an adult, I just finished a book project that I took a sabbatical to do. And I'm gonna just quickly share the cover here. This is like a big premiere of this because I haven't really shared this with
Woohoo.
too many people. So so this is the cover. It's called LB and Me, a tribute memoir and invitation. And so it is
I have a
so
feeling about that LB. I think I know what that is from
yes, that's right. Hopefully you
from
can
that
tell from
image.
those like little noodle arms, like that's where I'm going for. So the whole thing is really just a tribute to Linda Berry. And it started when I was in spin class and this funky song came on that really reminded me of the kind of music she likes to play. And I just realized like, and it was right around when Trina Robbins had died. And it was very much on my mind, all of the amazing tributes there were. And I just thought, God, but we should do this while people are alive and with
Oh,
us, and they should
definitely.
know what they've done in the world, right? And
Yeah.
so no one is more of an influence for me as anyone who's talked to me about comics knows than Linda Berry. And so I thought I would do this project. So basically, it's for the impetus for it was there's an online comics fair this summer that's being sponsored by Ladies Do Comics, or now called LD Comics. It's a UK-based worldwide organization that is celebrating their 15th anniversary this year. And coincidentally, so is graphic medicine. So this summer is actually the 15th anniversary of our first conference. And so those three things kind of came together. And I decided to do this comic. And it's just a lot of very sort of self-effacing comics about what an idiot I can be when I am really nervous and meet someone that I really like. So it tracks me in college and how important Ernie Poog's comic was, like how it got me to make comics because I looked at her comics and I remembered when I was struggling as a nurse and trying to survive that like comics don't have to be funny. And that's basically my origin story. And then it moves on to like actually meeting Linda Berry and being like a freak. And then a very funny story of her saying like, oh my God, wait here. I'm really excited. I want to talk to you about graphic medicine. And I thought she was just being nice. And I couldn't handle it. So I ran away. Anyway, and so then it's this transition of like how to act like a normal human being with someone who you have been such a fan of. So anyway, so then there's that, and then there's some stuff along the way about like comics as a way to sort of like survive like comics during difficult times, right? Like, and those are kind of these turning points in my life where I kept turning back to comics and finding new ways. Kind of picks up where I left off in the Graphic Medicine Manifesto. And then it closes with 15 individual testimonial comments from other people about how Linda Berry has impacted their career and their lives and their teaching
Great.
of comic art making. So that's it. And that's what I'm just finishing up with. It's going to be available online as a PDF. I'll put a link in the show notes from the Ladies Do Comics or LD Comics online comics fair, which has a ton of amazing stuff. I got a preview of their site, and it's this interesting model of just an online comics fair. So for a month, you can buy a PDF of as many things as you want to buy from, and they're fairly low price. And that's going to be a fun thing to see how that works out. And then I will have print available. I'm doing print copies, self-publishing through my website in starting in August. That's that. And the last thing I'd say is
That's
that,
awesome.
yeah, after this, I'm turning to a project that I'm working with a team at the University of Chicago to inspire the next generation of pediatricians, because there's a pediatrician there who's really concerned about how match is going like just not matching in pediatrics, and just for lots of reasons. And so how can we use pediatricians, adult pediatricians, to inspire their young, because a lot of people decided to become a doctor when they really liked their own pediatrician, right? Or they had a health experience where they thought their doctor helped them. So we're going to create kind of a journey comic for kids to think about being pediatricians and what kind of roadblocks they'll face along the way, perhaps.
Mm.
Wow, that's awesome.
Alex,
Yes,
yeah,
that's a
what are you working on?
well. I just the pediatrician thing is amazing because I'm me, my brother, my sister, my mom, my wife are all trained pediatricians, and yeah, it's really like a field that is under yeah less there's less importance on it, strangely enough, when it's probably the most important field of medicine to be focusing on now. But yeah, I've that's we should talk about that later because
Yeah,
that's
I'd love
amazing.
to.
Uh, and then also Tom and MK, I'm amazed that you guys were talking about music as well, because I think that is something that's been on my mind a lot recently, because I've met a lot of cartoonists who play music, and it's such a it's almost like it's like a completely different lane to be in, but they seem to be complementary, because like in my mind, comic making is oftentimes not collaborative, and it's often very kind of you work in isolation, and music making is almost by nature it has to be collaborative. I play drums, so obviously like playing drums by yourself gets boring after about 10 minutes, especially when you're not like a talented percussionist like I'm not. um, but then playing with others, you can play the same repetitive thing over and over again, and you're in the music, and it feels great. So, yeah, so that's one thing I've been working on. Is I've been playing in my bar band, my cover band a lot recently. We have a show tonight, and I'm hoarse, and I'm very nervous about that. But otherwise, we'll see how it goes. But that's been very fun. I think, like especially during stressful times, it's really a great way to like physically exert your energy, emotionally kind of dump your angst into something collaborative that
Yeah.
engages with an audience. It's really indescribable the way you can kind of express and kind of vent things without it being, specific. So that's why I love playing music, and it's great. I'm meeting more and more cartoonists that are into music, and I think that's just. I'd love to do just an episode just on that, because it's a fascinating thing to think about. Um, let's see. So the other thing that I just finished with my partner Gary in our company Booster Shot Media is a web-based educational tool to teach or not to teach, but to give families understanding of treatment options for sickle cell disease. And this is one of those things where it's an educational comic, but it's not really like a bound comic book. So let me try to share my screen, because this is much easier to show than describe.
And we'll put
Um,
the link in the show notes.
great, thanks. There we go. Okay, so the idea for this project, and this was like a years-long project that we just kind of finished and are able to share now. Um, but with sickle cell disease, there are new treatment options that have become available. And sickle cell disease, unfortunately, for years historically has been a medical issue that has not been appropriately given the correct amount of funding for
Mhm.
research and for treatment advances. And so this is a population of people that kind of were stuck with kind of older treatment regimens, while there were kind of more advances in like gene therapy and transplant for other pediatric diseases, but not sickle cell.
Mhm.
But now that is starting to finally catch up, and there are potentially curative treatments available for sickle cell. disease for kids, especially if it's done early in life. And so we were charged to kind of create a tool to help families kind of make these decisions, because each of these decisions need to be made early in life and can be really like life implicating, like towards, through it, the end of your life, basically. So after doing some amazing focus group testing with families and kids with sickle cell disease, as well as researchers and social workers and people just who are well versed in kind of the nuances of the disease, we came up with creating basically a story that involves one child and her family making a decision about a treatment path to take. And the idea is that depending on the decision she makes, her life goes in a different direction, basically. And then you follow kind of sequentially her life through kind of the treatment path all the way through adulthood, basically. But then the idea is that the user or the reader can compare each of these decisions at any given moment. So they can say, okay, if I choose a transfusion therapy, how many hospitalizations would I be dealing with? What kind of side effects? If I choose gene therapy, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen in the beginning where I need to have a lot of, transfusions, different kinds of medical issues, port placement, things like that, that can be, difficult. But when you go back to kind of the long-term look at it, if it works well, then things are pretty much uncomplicated later in life. And so the idea is, kind of being able to give the family an idea of comparing these options at any moment. And then at the same time, we wanted to give like practical information. So it's like, okay, if I was like, for this example, if I have a central line in, why do I have it in, what is the purpose of it? But then more than that, it's like, okay, scientifically, like what is going on when I have a problem with an infusion reaction? And so we wanted to give kind of these layers of information so that the user and the family, the patient, whoever, doesn't have to read it all at once, but they'll go to it many, many times and look at it different ways. And it's kind of a non-linear way of looking at things. And so we actually presented this, an early draft of this at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con last summer. And miraculously, Scott McCloud was just in the audience, and he asked a bunch of amazing questions that we didn't have great answers for. And so then he actually was kind enough to review our draft and give us amazing feedback. So then we actually worked on simplifying things and addressing some of the questions he had. So that was kind of really crucial for us to kind of complete the project. So anyway, the project is completed, and anyone can use it and look at it. And so the link we'll have in the show notes. But that was kind of the big project that we finally got out this spring.
Wow.
Alex, I'm blown away. This is amazing. And for those of you just listening to the audio, you have to follow the link in the show notes. This is amazing. It's just so genius, and my brain is exploding because you can think about this with so many applications, right? For like the kind of the system you've created of like choices. And then the other thing that seems really powerful I look at is like if I were a kid and you're talking about all these words and you're like, well, this is going to happen and then you're going to do that. I don't know what that looks like, right? I'm a kid who's so concrete. And so to see like, okay, that's what it looks like when you're getting a transfusion. Oh, I'm just sitting there on my Game Boy or whatever, right? That's so powerful for kids and for adults.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for us, that was kind of the idea, is that we wanted to. I mean, the client didn't say we want a comic, but we were like, you need a comic, but also like this is not technically like a comic that can be bound. It's its own form, and so it opened our minds, though, that like you said, that we can apply this kind of same logic to a lot of different like complex medical issues that need to be explained, and we're starting to do that as well. So we're applying this kind of model to other things, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's really beautiful and elegant.
Thanks, and hopefully we'll see. I think they're starting to show it to patients now, so I think the next step is we'll get feedback and kind of see, hopefully, that that people connect with it, because otherwise then we need to go back to the drawing board.
And is it okay, like if we are able to have the link, is it okay to share with other pediatricians or people that we know who might have sickle cell? It's okay to share the link.
Yes, yeah. So I think we got the clearance from our client that we can share it. I think the client, is not ready to say who they are yet, but hopefully that'll be public soon too. Yeah, great. Well, our next segment and our final segment of the episode is, what are you reading? I can start. I'm notorious for not reading things that are current. I'm very kind of behind. I have a backlog of things that I always want to be reading. So the thing I've been most recently reading, back here, this is not new, but it's a graphic novel by Grant Morrison and Chris Burnham called Nameless. It's like a cosmic horror comic about it's about a lot of things, but basically it's like a supernatural story about astronauts that are going to investigate an asteroid that may be heralding the end of the world. But it's a lot more going on than that. It's very yeah, it's very Lovecraftian, I'd say, but kind of set in modern times. But it's also it strikes me as kind of prescient, as there's kind of a lot of nonchalance about the impending destruction of the world from the general population, resonating with right now. But the other
Yeah.
kind of cool thing about this is that Chris Burnham was is a cartoonist that works with Grant Morrison a lot, but a lot of other amazing uh, companies and things like that. But he actually initially we met him because when Gary and I, my partner Booster Shot Media, we first started working together in a theater company in Chicago called Live Action Cartoonists. And Chris Burnham actually replaced me in one of our shows when I was busy with med school. And at the time, we were casting like actors that we could maybe train to draw on stage because that was kind of what the show was about. And then we had Chris, audition for us, and he presented like a draft of some graphic novel that he's working on, and he clearly was like an amazing cartoonist that could also act. And we were like, "Do you want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so then he
Oh,
he was me for a show, and then I'd lost touch. I didn't know what he was up to, and then I started reading Batman Incorporated, written by Grant Morrison, and it was drawn by him. And I was like, Chris Burnham, all right. So then we actually reconnected with him at Comic Con about 10 years ago, and it was a great reunion. But anyway, I read all his stuff. He's an amazing cartoonist.
oh, how cool is that?
So Tom, how about you? What are you reading these days?
I finally bought myself a copy of The Body Keeps the Score, which everybody has read except me. And I was like, if I'm gonna be really involved in this world the way I am, I need to read this book. And so I've been sort of working my way through it. It's much more engaging and also much more full of stats than I thought, but it's good. All of that is really good. So that's like, and that's after half a year of reading a lot of speculative fiction, um, largely apocalyptic and dystopian, and I needed to take a break. So that's the main thing. Comics wise, the main thing I'm reading right now is Julia Gaffer's new book called The World Within the World, which is really, really dark and beautiful at the same time. And it is has an incredible amount of sex and a large amount of violence, but like medieval violence. A lot of it is very pre-industrial. All the stories feel like as if they're sort of medieval, and they're visceral in ways I haven't seen comics be in a long time. They're weirdly quiet too. They're not nothing gratuitous about any of the explicit stuff I just mentioned. She's a really great cartoonist.
That's
It's
interesting.
great.
And an interesting connection between those two books you just mentioned, I was reminded of Resma Menakem in his book My Grandmother's Hands talks a lot about like the brutality of early just civilization. Like
Mm,
civilization was so much more brutal, like bodies
mm,
in the streets, heads cut off, just in and like um and just thinking about Resma Menakem talking about like that's what came to this country, and that's the mind frame that kind of people started this country with, like being very accustomed to brutality among people, that obviously we don't want now, but yet it's still
right.
somehow a part of a long history, right? This isn't anything new, which is kind of what his point is. And talking about the body, Resma Menakem talks a lot about how the body also, in the way that the body keeps the score does. So it's really interesting connection between those two texts.
Mm,
Yeah.
I'll look for that.
So MK, how about you? What are you been reading?
So my non-comics thing that I just finished for a book club, and I'm really glad that my book club had this because it really made me engage with it on a deeper level that I would have. Is a book called by the bioethicist Carl Elliott, and it's called The Occasional Human Sacrifice. It's kind of poorly titled because really what it's about is whistleblowers in medical research and medical
Mm,
experimentation, and the consequence of being a whistleblower. And so it talks about the classic things like Tuskegee, which Whit Taylor has made an amazing comic about. There's the classic stories you've heard of, a couple that you haven't. So it kind of goes case by case and looks at those whistleblowers. And the thing about being a whistleblower is that when you're in a situation, you're bearing witness to something that's causing you great moral distress, and you feel like you need to tell someone, there's this naivete we start with where, like, as soon as everybody finds out what's happening here, they're going to help and it's going to stop. And that's not what happens, right? And even, like, what happens is some of these things, the Tuskegee thing went on for 20 years. These things go on for years, and the life of the whistleblower is often ruined. And they're fascinating case studies. And Carl Elliott is a really good writer. He himself was a whistleblower at the University of Minnesota. About a study on Seroquel where someone was warned someone wasn't doing well, and then the person committed suicide, and the institution kind of disowned it. And so yeah, it's just an amazing study. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and his thing, spoiler alert, is like, don't do it alone. If you're going to be a whistleblower, be in community with other people. Kind of citing what we were talking about. Anyway, so that's my non-comics. My comics that I'm reading right now, I'm super excited about, is Rupert Kennard has just released this sort of omnibus of his book. It's called Whoops, I Just Catharted. 50 years of cathartic comics. And Cathartic Comics was a strip that ran in alternative newspapers in the 80s and 90s. And it contained the first black and gay superhero, which was a guy named the Brown Bomber, and he's had a companion called the Diva Touche Flambe. And what's neat about this book is it's really sort of a the subtitle is The History of the World's First Mildly Celebrated Sub-Underground Comic Strip. But what's neat too is it's not just a reprint of those strips, but also sort of a tour through the trailblazing life and career of Rupert Kennard. He was a keynote speaker at the 2017 Seattle Graphic Medicine Conference, and he just has amazing stories about the comics community and how they supported him when he was in a car accident that left him a paraplegic. About his career and why he pursued doing this. And anyway, I'm just really excited about it, and I've just gotten started reading it. So,
I mean, that's maybe the greatest title of a book I've ever heard. So
Yeah.
yes.
I knew you would like that one, Alex.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, I think we made it through our inaugural episode of the monthly Graphic Medicine Roundup. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun. And be sure, everyone, to join us July 18th to 20th for the SAW Graphic Medicine Summit 2025. And we'll know about the GMIC awards during that conference as well. So there'll be a lot to tune into, as well as the amazing sessions. And then, yeah, we'll hopefully have another episode maybe to talk about how well the summit was in a month.
Awesome. This was a real pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.